Everybody ready? So to add rollovers that you've created yourself, and I'll show you different kinds of rollovers. There's something called a slideshow rollover, which is pretty cool. It's a nice way of presenting your work. And also if you want to have a pop-up window, that sort of thing. They're done by using behaviors inside Lightwave. What am I saying? Thinking about yesterday. Dreamweaver. So if I go to Window and we look up behaviors, where are behaviors? Right there. Here's the behavior window. And if we click on the plus tab to add a behavior, there's a whole bunch of them down here. A pop-up message, all kinds of stuff. Also, we're going to have swap image, and it will be swap image restore. That's what we're going to use for the rollover. Okay, doke. So to do that, we got to go, and I've already created these in Photoshop. So this is what you have to do. If you just want a rollover button, you have to create the button in all of its states. So here would be the up state, and there would be the down state, and you can make it however you want it. You know, when you see buttons that when you roll over them, they look like they light up. Well, they obviously don't light up. It's just an illusion that they've created in Photoshop. If you want a down state, you would also have to create that. So for every button you have to have a different image. Now that can get overwhelming. You know, even if you only have 4 buttons, and if you had an up, over, and down, that's 3 for each button. That's 12 images for just those 4 buttons. So imagine if you have more. So they do take a lot of work. Then obviously I would save the original as a Photoshop file so that that keeps all of your layers. That keeps all of your effects. Everything that's that will be editable. And then one by one you have to save them for web, and you save them as in the appropriate file format, whether it be GIF or JPEG. And label them as I have done. That you would say, okay, this is my sunflower button up or normal, something like that. This is my sunflower button over. This is my sunflower button down. So you know which one is which. Does that make sense? Okay, now when I roll over this button, I can add, I can link it to wherever I want. One of the things that we can do is when I roll over this image can actually pop up on my page, or any image. To do that, I have to now create, save this image for the web and take note of its size. So I would go to image size, and it happens to be 360 by 457. I probably should have made it 450 to make it a nice, even numbers and stuff, or 350 by 450, but I didn't. And then what you also need to do is you need to create either a transparent GIF, or you need to create a blank image that's the same color as your background, because that's going to be what's visible when no one is rolling over the button. Does that make sense? That it just looks blank, and then you roll over the button, and then suddenly this image appears. Okay? So is everybody clear on saving images and what you have to save? You have to save for buttons. You have to save for every state that you're going to create. You have to save a separate image. It's obviously identical in size, so just make it the same from the same file. If you're going to create something called a slideshow rollover, then you need to, for every image that you want to pop up when you're rolling over a button, that they're going to pop up in this same window. They all have to be exactly the same size. So even if they are smaller, they can't be larger, obviously, but if they're smaller, then you can have a background that's maybe transparent or that has the same background color, so that background blends with the background page. But the way it reads it is that overall file size or image size is identically the same. Does that make sense? So it's this window that you're using. So let's go back here. And let me go ahead and insert my button. And so what I'm going to do is here we can do image, and you can see we can also select from here rollover image, and it knows when I select that I'm going to have different states, so I can go ahead and add them at that one time. If you want to do it later, you can. So let me do it both ways to show you how it's done. So I'll click rollover image. So image 1, so we'll call it sunflower up. So that's sunflower up, and then I go and I click on my image, and I've already saved it in my root folder. So here's my button up, and I hope to see, there we go, there's my button. Okay, and I choose. And now it wants to know what rollover image, meaning what's the over state, what one have I created for that. So I can go ahead and I can click on that, and there's the button down. And now I can go ahead and add an alt tag, and if I want, I can go ahead and I can go to URL here. It can be a page that I have on my website, or it can be an external link. Okay? So I'll go ahead and put an external for right now. So http://kmart66.com. Okay? I'll click OK. There we go. Now, to actually preview this and to see it work, you have to test it. So we're going to save it. And then what we'll do is we'll preview it in a browser. And I'll just preview it in Firefox. Let's cross our fingers and hope that this works. There we go. Okay. And all it's doing is it's swapping out the image. And this has been around since almost the beginning of Dreamweaver. But instead of being able to do it in programs like Flash and stuff, you've had to do it this way, manually. Okay, so let me do it a different way. Let's go ahead and I'll select this and delete it. And let's do it again. But this time we're going to go from behaviors. And what I need to do is I need to click here. Let me first insert the image. So I'm going to go back up here, because I have to select an image in order to add a behavior. So let me go back up here and just select image. And I want my button up, because that's the first one that you choose, or your normal, whatever state you want to call it. And I'm not going to put I'm not going to put the long description or anything for it. There we go. Okay. Now with it selected, I come over to my behavior tab, click here. What I want to do is select swap image. Okay. Now it says unnamed image. I only have one in here. What if I had a whole bunch of them? Then probably what I should do, let's cancel that, is with this selected, we'll call it sunflower up down here in our properties panel. That's not a bad idea. Okay. So now when I select this image and I go to behaviors and I select swap image, notice that it has image sunflower up. So again, if you have 10 images on your page, you know which one that you're selecting. Otherwise, it just says image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you don't know. And now I browse to select the down button, choose, and we've got it. Okay. Now I click OK, and we save it. And just as we did before, we preview it in a browser, and it works the same way. Now, to create a slideshow, or what am I saying? Yeah, like a slideshow, but it's if I want to go ahead and put an image in the middle here, I will start by putting my blank image. so I want it to blend with the rest of the page. So I'll click in the middle here, or even maybe click over here to the right. And let's go ahead and insert that image. Now this is, you do have to insert this image. So I'm going to go ahead, and I named it blank or something like that. What did I name it? Sunflower. It's not that one. There we go, sunflower blank GIF. Okay, I'm just going to click OK. And there it is. It's a big blank image. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, when I select this, and I'll just name it blank or placeholder or whatever you want to name it. So I know that when I look at that list of images, what I'm looking at. Okay, so now what think about what you want to do. When I click on here, or when I roll over here, rather, I want it to replace this image with the other one. Does that make sense? So that when I roll over this, it replaces this. And if I had another button here, and I roll over that, again, it would swap the blank out for another image, and so on and so forth. So you can see why it has to be the same size, because it has to fit in that same area. Right now there's some wiggle room, but once you've defined your page in that grid, if you're using, and you should use a table for this to define the structure of the page, will be pretty rigid. So it's important that they are the same size. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these out for right now. I'm going to go back and delete these behaviors that were added to it. And I'm going to just start over. Sometimes it's easier. So I have all of the images named. I'm going to go ahead again and I'm going to select swap. So what I want to do is image sunflower, I want to browse. When I roll over the image sunflower, I want it to swap, and I want it to put swap it with the image down. Now, when I roll over that image, and what I want to do is with the blank image, is that I want int to swap with that sunflower image that I created. So it's linking this behavior to this image that I'm using as a button. So you can swap all sorts of things at the same time. So I'll browse now, and I'll select my sunflower background. Not that one. It's this one, 4-color. There we go. Okay. And I click OK. Now you can see I still have just the mouse over and mouse out feature. And again, it looks like nothing's happening here, but we have to save it. And then what we'll do is once again, we'll preview it. When I roll over, it pops up. Okay? So imagine if I had other buttons here, and just when you roll over them, all it does is it swaps out the blank image for whatever image that you want to appear. It's a nice way to present work. It's very condensed so that everything happens on one page. You don't have to use Flash. It's compatible with all browsers now, because what they do is they use JavaScript to do this, and you don't have to know JavaScript. It's already done for you in order to do this. So this is just, one is a simple rollover. That's the button. And when you do this, when you see the image to the right, it's called a slideshow rollover. Okay?
That could be done with like
Yeah, any image you want. Okay. Now, what if you wanted to, instead of rolling over this image, what if when you clicked on the image, you wanted to create a pop-up? Okay, so that in some instances you'll have a series of images that are small, and you'll want to see a larger image, and you say click on image, click here to see larger image, or whatever people put. It's generally a little confusing, but you want to be able to see a larger version, but you don't want them to go to a separate page. Now there are pluses and negatives, or pros and cons to that, because now most browsers have pop-up blockers, and if you have that turned on, that's what this is a pop-up, and you're not going to be able to see it. They'd have to have it turned off, and you might have to state that as a little warning. You know, to use this, please turn off pop-up blockers or something like that. You have to have pop-up blockers turned off. So let's try this again. I'm going to go ahead and go back to here. And I'm just going to get rid of all of this stuff again, because I'm going to use the same buttons. Why not? So I'll go ahead and I'll insert the image that I was using for the button. And you can have a rollover if you want. So on down, you know, on the down state, with the rollover it would be whatever. I'm just going to have the up button. I click OK. And now what I'm going to do with that button selected, I'm going to add the behavior. And what I want to do is I want to pop-up message. I could also say open browser window, but I think I'm going to try the pop-up message and see what we get. No, I don't. Never mind. I'm going to go ahead and say open browser window. Jump to show, hide. I want to make sure I'm selecting the right one. Yep, I'm going to do open browser window. So what I want to do is, it says URL to display. So it could be another URL, it could be another page, it could be whatever. I just want the image. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the, whoop, not that one. I guess I could, conceivably. But I'm going to select the slide. Where is it? Come on. This is how you could also show your Flash piece, too, if you wanted it to pop up in a separate window. Let's do the ducky JPEG, okay? No, we don't, because I don't know the size of it, and you'll see why in a minute. Where's the 4-color sunflower JPEG? I had it. Okay, let's go back to the desktop. Let's go to, oh, okay, that's why. Let's go in our root folder. I thought I was in the root folder. And let's look in images. That's where it's supposed to be. And there we go. It's the sunflower. Now, notice it says window width and height. And it has a series of other buttons that I can select. It says attributes. Do I want to see the navigation toolbar? No. Do I want to see the menu, scroll bars as needed? No. Resize handles? No. I don't want to see any of these. So I knew from the size of the image that I created, remember I specified the size is 360 by 457. So that's the size of the window that I need. Might be need to be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller to allow for the border. But I'm going to put 360 by 457. 457. Okay? I click OK. So I've added, on click, open browser window. So let's go ahead and save it. And let's go ahead and test it in the browser. Preview in Firefox. And I click, and there it is. It pops up in there. And you don't have any navigation because I didn't check any of those buttons. You don't see any extra stuff. You only see, and it can't be, notice that it can't be resized. It's there, and when the person is done viewing it, then they can close it. Now, if you want your slideshow, your Flash slideshow to pop up that way, that's doable. If in another instance, if you have thumbnails of images or small images, and you want people to have the opportunity to see it in a larger format, then just click here to see larger image, and that would be a good way to do it. But as I said, having said that, pop-up windows are blocked a lot of times, so that can be a problem. And I wouldn't have thought anything about that until I went to Hillman Curtis's website. Hillman Curtis is really an excellent designer. And he used to present his projects as pop-ups. So if we look at site design, for example, we go to a different page now. Films, he's redesigned his website. It's kind of nice. Simple, clean, elegant. Let's look at Adobe Studio and see what he's designed. Okay, so everything is self-contained now. For a while, when you would go to his website, and if you wanted to see some of the Flash that he had done, multimedia projects, you'd actually go to a different page, and then you'd have to go back. And he changed that at a time when browsers were integrating pop-up blockers. Because before, what he would do is if you wanted to see any of these, you just click on it, and you would pop it up into a new window. So now he's integrating everything into one. You know, kind of nice. Metropolitan Opera. So you can see all of the websites that he's done. And all he does is have still images of them. You know, you don't actually get to navigate in here. But he's pretty much into film these days. That's really what I think he enjoys doing. I don't want to speak for the man because I don't know him, but it seems pretty clear that that's what he's focusing on now more than anything, is film. And for the longest time, what he was really known for, what he created and how he created his name, was he would do Flash, but he would integrate a lot of video with it. And it was at a time when it wasn't that easy. It was difficult. It's still difficult to integrate video with it. So he'd have to bring in individual frames, and he would have to do, you know, still images and tinker with it. Unfortunately, he doesn't show those anymore, so that's too bad. But there were some really beautiful ones that were animated, you know, that were either taken, you know, originally taken as film and then integrated into Flash, or they were traced and converted into drawings and animated in Flash, and they really were beautiful. They were really quite nice. So he's gone in a different direction, but still pretty nice. These look like these were just created, and who knows. I'll have to check this out on my own website and using the developer tools that I have to see how I put this together. But even notice when you redo this, how all of this stuff it loads very quickly. You know, and you would think for video, images this large and stuff, it would take a long time, and they don't. He's done a very good job with regard to that. So when you click on this stuff, it just is very nice. It transitions and it loads very quickly. Anywho, okay. So, was there something else that you guys wanted me to add today? It doesn't, if you forget or it comes to you later on, I'll add it. But that's what I want to do, behaviors.
When is our project due?
Last regular day of class. You actually have a little bit longer because you're emailing me the link.
Oh.
But, test it, make sure it works and everything. And when you email me that link, I will do my best to email you back to give you a confirmation and make sure that I received it. Because then, on the day of the final, what we'll do is we'll probably just meet for an hour or so to show them to, everybody who's here just can share them. And then if I don't have it, you'll go, wait, I emailed it to you, and you go, but I didn't get it, then, well, here it is, okay, and then I can grade it and get it back to you. Okay? Make sure that everything else is turned in by not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So if there's anything I'm missing.
I never got a break for that, the web app, and I emailed it to you.
Really? Okay, then I need to know that. So now I know that. So I need to look at that today. I'll have you come over and look in my folder and see if it's there. That it maybe went to junk or something. I don't know. That happens sometimes too. Have you ever noticed that when someone says, "But I emailed you. I emailed you 5 times," and then you look in your junk mail and it's there. You know. Then you have to correct it, and then it reads it properly from thereafter. Okay. So these are nice features inside Dreamweaver. There is one more that I will talk about on Thursday. And that I'm sure a number of you are going to want to put keywords in your website so that when people do searches, that your website comes up. Okay. And a description so that when it is, somebody does Google you and it pops up. Let's do this again. I'll show you what I mean. So if I create new here, and I'll Google myself here, Kirk Miller. Lots of Kirk Millers in the world. And there's one in Tustin who's an artist. This is not me. So this is me here, but if we go here and my blog is here somewhere. There it is. Kirk Miller's blog, aka Kmart 66. This weblog is an educational mashup for the student who wants to know more about art, design. This is the description. That description is put in there so that when someone does Google you, it comes up, rather than just reading the first line or two of your website. So you put in keywords so that when people use Google to search you, could be under art, your name, it could be, I don't know, whatever. If you, or a chocolatier or something, it would be chocolatier, it would be chocolate, it would, no, you generally are going to put maybe 25 keywords. Sometimes people put more. It's recommend that you put maybe as many as 25. And then you also can put a description. And then when people, that goes at the top of your web page. I'll show you how to put that in there. And there is a feature in Dreamweaver to do that. Okay. That will be useful. Okay. So I don't believe I've shown you that yet. And that is one thing that I think would be helpful. Okay. This seems pretty clear. You're clear on the Photoshop part, what you need to do. You have to create all the different states, and they all have to be the same physical size. For buttons, for the slideshows, that they all have to be the same size. Okay. Remainder of today's workday. Yeah. Oh, you want me to show you that? I can do that today, briefly. Okie doke. So let's say I wanted to turn this into a template. Now I'm going to go ahead and write some gibberish in here. Okay. What I can do is I can take any page and convert it to a template. They have created templates that you can use. And all you do is substitute your own content for theirs. But if you want to create your own template so that when you hand your website over to someone else, they don't goof it up, this is what you do. You go File, and you say Save as Template. Okay. It says no template saved. I'm going to name it Save as a Portfolio Template. Okay. save. Update links, yes. Okie doke. So now what I'm going to do, I'm having a moment of myself of trying to remember what I need to do, because I need to create some editable regions. So now when I select this, here, wait a minute, let me go ahead and open the template. Let me go ahead and open, I'm going to open recent here. It should be, I should be able to open template or create page. No, I know, new from template. So I can do either. Save as template. Let me just open the template. Open recent, I'm going to say portfolio template. Okay, so this is the template. Oh, never mind, I'm not paying attention here. This is portfolio template dot DWT. That's Dreamweaver template. So this is not an HTML page, it is a template. So now what I can do is I can select in this cell, for example, that maybe I don't want portfolio to be changed, I don't want this button to be changed. The only region that I want to be able to edit is this text in here. So I can click in here and I can select the table data. Then I can come in here and I can select, and this is where I have to remember, templates. And what I want to do is I want to make attribute editable. Okay? And we'll label it okay? So I want to make this, oh, I don't want the attribute. Okay, we'll just make this region editable. Okay? So let me go ahead now and file. I'm going to create a new page, and I want it from my template. So page from template. Let's go from template. You'll see in Lauren Miller 2, I have a portfolio template. So I'm going to create a new page from the template that I just created. And I go ahead and I select create. Now notice that when I roll over any of these other images, see the portfolio? I get that universal sign with the strike through. I can't edit it. I can't change it. And I goofed, because now I can't even edit this. So let me close this for a minute. Let me go back here and make sure that this editable region in here, table data, modify, template, here, make attribute editable. Let's see, please enter the name of the new attribute to insert into the TD tag. We'll just say text or copy. Okay, label, copy. We'll see if I'm doing this right here. This is new. Type, text, URL, color, true, false, just text. We'll leave that, okay? Click OK. Let me go ahead and save it. Wait a minute. Let me go ahead here. Let me go back to the template. I thought I changed it. Modify. Template. Make attribute editable. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that because I made this attribute here editable. So that should be adequate now. It still says it doesn't have any editable regions. So what am I doing wrong? Let's select the text again from here. Edit. I'm doing something wrong here. Oh, okay. Well, then let me come back because I'm clearly goofing this up.
Insert and
Thank you. Okay. Okay. There we go. Editable region. There we go. So now I've added a bunch of regions that I really don't want, but that's okay. So I save it. Let's finish this. And now I go File, New. I want the new one to be from the template. I create. And now you'll notice that this is the only editable region that I can come in here and I can change. All of the others are not editable. I can't change the links. I can't change the title. So why would this be a good idea? If you were creating, let's say, an in-house document that would be published once a week, once a month. It could be a newsletter. And the format of the newsletter was to remain the same from week to week, month to month. In their own, so you had standing articles, and maybe just the title, or maybe just the contents was the content and the content of an article, or the articles were changed. So that's all people would do, would cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. But the organization of the page, the structure, the colors, everything else, the links would all be set. So that's fundamentally how you create your own template and why you would want to create your own template. The templates that are available to you, and that's what you mean, and thanks for telling me insert. Okay, we got that. So you can see this is an untitled new page, and this, what distinguishes the template from the page is the file name, DWT. You don't upload the template. It's local. It's a Dreamweaver document. Just like when we imported and exported and saved the, our site information. When we manage sites, same thing. It's all local. So what do we do when we want to create a new file from a template? Let's look here under blank templates. You see these over to the left? What we've been using so far are blank pages, and they're HTML pages. But if you say that you want to create a new document from a blank template, there are all kinds of templates here. If we want just an HTML template instead of an ASP JavaScript template or a JSP template, all of this server-side stuff, or a PHP template. For example, look at, they have 1, 2, 3 column. Look at all the different templates they have here. They have 3 column fixed with a header and footer. We have a 3 column hybrid. And by clicking on any of these, you can see the preview of what these things are going to look like. Notice that certain parts are locked, certain parts are flexible. So let's pick one of these. Let's pick the 3 column liquid with footer and header at the very last one. Let's just do this one. They're all percentage and locked. I click create, and there it is. This is, they've created a template, and notice that this is the editable portion, just like I created an editable region, and you cut and you paste. And here's one with the header, and here's the main content. And all you're doing is you can go back and you can bring in your own styles, but the organization of the page is the same, is what they've created. So if you feel stuck and you want to use some of these to create your page, but use the same layout for every page so that there's consistency. Don't use a 2 column for one page and a 3 column for another and a 1 column for one page. Be consistent. So it looks, when you look at a newspaper, they have 8 columns. You can see the underlying structure. So let's look at a couple more new. Let's go back to HTML template. Well, that's blank template. Let's page from samples, page from others. Let's see what they have here. I have ActionScript remote, text. There were a bunch of them that I had selected before. It looked pretty nifty. Well, some of them are blank. Some of them, you know, you can select from blank templates or from their own templates. These are mine. I don't want mine template page from, how about samples again? Starter page, theme. There we go. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. Let me close that and find it again. They have all these hidden in here, which are pretty neat. Don't save. File, new. Okay. If we select page from sample, and you'll notice here, starter page theme, and you'll notice all of these different themes from entertainment to health and nutrition, lodging. And notice that they have separate pages for each. They have lodging calendar, lodging catalog, lodging homepage, lodging product page, lodging text page. So there you go. There's your entire website designed for you. Colors, layout, everything. So if I wanted, here's my lodging homepage. I go ahead and I create. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. You could save it as your homepage or home test or what I'm going to call it. Okay. And it asks, do you want to copy dependent files? Absolutely. And it will go on your root folder. And there you go. Now, they've included images, but now you just swap these out. How big are the images? Select the image and you look in your properties panel. And it tells me that this is 230 by 240. And notice that they've used a simple table to lay it out. They've selected the where you're going to put the text. They've created here for you under CSS styles. Here are all the rules for the links, for the text, for the headers, for the whatever. They've already done it for you. They're much more elegant, I think, than what used to be done. I'm not going to say because that's what you're going to use. You got to find it yourself. Hunt around under new and you'll find it. Yeah, when you create a new file and you go in there, it'll be under, there's different kinds of templates and files you can create. And these are pretty elegant looking, I think. They're pretty nice. But Microsoft, when you would design a page from their front page, I'm sorry, I don't know if, does anybody have a website that they design in front page or that they created? No? Oh, so I won't offend anybody here. I thought they looked horrible. They were just poorly designed, but that's the way I feel about what most of Microsoft does. There's some things that they do really well, but design is not one of them. And I think maybe being a designer, that's what attracted me to Apple, because forever everything they've done has been beautifully designed. But Dreamweaver provides for you some really elegant, I think, templates to use as a guide. And if you use these as layout, there's nothing wrong with that. But then go back in and change, certainly change the content, maybe change the colors, change the look of the type. But you have the structure there for you that give you as an aid. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. To kind of give, at this stage in design, you need training wheels, and that's what these provide. And then later on, you'll come up with a design on your own, and you'll say, well, there isn't a template that really follows my idea, and that's good, because then you've created your own. And then it's time to take the training wheels off. Okay, so did you find it? No? Okay, here you go. I will tell you. Here, File, New. page from sample, and you'll see down here they have CSS style sheets. They have frame sets, which I won't talk about, starter page theme, and they have them in different categories. Each one of these pages, each one of these themes has a different page. They each have a calendar page, catalog page, home page, product page, and text page. So for each page in your website, you would use a different, it's the same theme, but you would use a different layout. Unless you had multiple pages that maybe there were multiple text pages, or you needed multiple product pages or something like that.
Would it be considered bad to publish the site as it's kind of like a cheat that you don't use?
No, it's legitimate. They make them there for you to use. They're legitimate. I mean, I clearly would swap out images, use it, but to use their layout, no one, I think, would recognize it. A layout is a layout. I mean, it's not something you can really copyright, nor would you want to. Because there are fundamental principles, design principles that go into laying out pages. But did you find them?
Yeah.
Okay. So that should be an aid. So you should be able to work with those if you want. Just, try to tweak them a little bit. Put your own content in there. Change colors, change images, change, a handful of things, and you'd be surprised. You start changing enough things and it doesn't look anything like the original. Okay? Okie doke.